Today's story is about Miguel Rodriguez, a man whose courage to act on one moment changed not just his life, but the lives of hundreds of others. This isn't just another feel-good story. This is about recognizing that the difference between success and regret often comes down to a single decision and how fast you make it. Stick with me because what Miguel did in the final moments of this story will give you chills. Miguel Rodriguez worked construction in Phoenix, Arizona. Every morning at 5 a.m., his alarm would shatter the silence of his small apartment. While most of the city slept, Miguel was already lacing up his steel-toed boots. For 8 years, it was the same routine. Grab coffee, drive to the site, work under the scorching sun, come home bone-tired. His hands were calloused, his back ached, but he never complained. He had a family to feed. But Miguel had a secret. Every night after his kids went to bed, he'd sit at his kitchen table with old business books he'd bought from yard sales. He'd study by the light of a single lamp, dreaming of something more. His wife Maria would sometimes find him asleep on those books. "Miguel," she'd say, "you're killing yourself. Just accept what life has given us." But something inside him refused to accept that this was all there was. See, Miguel wasn't just swinging a hammer. He was studying every building project from the ground up. He noticed inefficiencies, saw ways to cut costs, and understood problems that even the foreman missed. But he was just a laborer. Who would listen to his ideas? Tuesday morning, October 15th. Miguel was assigned cleanup duty on a luxury office building project. As he emptied trash bins from the contractor's trailer, a crumpled piece of paper caught his eye. Most people would have thrown it away without a second glance, but something about the letterhead made him pause. It was from the Phoenix Business Development Council. Miguel smoothed out the paper. It was an announcement for the Innovation Challenge, a competition for small business ideas that could improve the construction industry. The prize? $100,000 in startup funding and a mentorship program with the city's top contractors. Miguel's heart raced as he read the details, but then his stomach dropped. The application deadline was Friday, just 3 days away, and today was already half over. He stood there in that trailer holding this crumpled paper as his mind flooded with doubts. I don't have a college degree. I don't own a suit. I can barely afford the application fee. Who am I kidding? For 10 minutes, Miguel stared at that paper. Around him, construction continued. Hammers pounding, machines roaring. But in that moment, everything else was silent. He was standing at a crossroads. He thought about Maria's words, "Just accept what life has given us." He thought about his kids, who deserve better than hand-me-down clothes and shared bedrooms. He thought about all those nights studying business books while his body screamed for rest. Then Miguel did something that surprised even himself. He folded that paper carefully, put it in his pocket, and made a decision that would change everything. That night, Miguel didn't tell Maria about the paper. Instead, after dinner, he said he had some work to catch up on and disappeared to the kitchen table.
Under that single lamp, with coffee growing cold beside him, Miguel began writing his business plan. His idea wasn't complicated, it was brilliant in its simplicity. He'd noticed that construction waste was costing projects thousands of dollars, materials ordered incorrectly, overages that went to landfills, inefficient scheduling that led to spoilage. Miguel had a system to reduce waste by 40% while improving project timelines. Wednesday night, Miguel worked until 2 a.m., then got up at 5 for his regular job. His eyes were bloodshot, his hands shook from exhaustion, but he kept going. Thursday night, the application required financial projections, market analysis, implementation strategies. Miguel had never written anything like this. He watched YouTube videos, borrowed business books from the library, called his cousin who'd gone to college. Friday morning came with a cruel choice. Miguel could go to work and earn his daily wage, money his family desperately needed, or he could miss a day's pay to submit his application in person. At 6 a.m., Miguel stared at his uniform hanging on the chair. Then he looked at the suit he'd borrowed from his brother-in-law, too big in the shoulders, too short in the arms, but the best he had. For the first time in 8 years, Miguel called in sick. He put on that ill-fitting suit, printed his business plan at the local library, and drove downtown with his application and a check that represented their grocery money for the week. His hands shook as he walked into that gleaming office building. Security guards in the lobby looked at him like he didn't belong. The elevator seemed to take forever. In that moment, every voice of doubt screamed in his head. Miguel submitted his application with 45 minutes to spare. The receptionist barely looked up as she stamped it received. He walked back to his truck feeling like he'd either made the best decision of his life or the biggest mistake. 3 weeks passed. Miguel went back to his routine: work, exhaustion, sleep, repeat. But something had changed. He'd tasted possibility, and he couldn't forget the flavor. On a Wednesday evening, as Miguel helped his daughter with homework, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Mr. Rodriguez, this is Sarah Chen from the Phoenix Business Development Council. I'm calling to inform you that your proposal has been selected as one of our 3 finalists." Miguel asked her to repeat herself, twice. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the phone. Maria looked at him like he'd seen a ghost. 2 weeks later, Miguel stood on a stage in front of 200 business leaders, contractors, and city officials. His presentation wasn't polished, his suit still didn't fit, but his passion was undeniable. When they announced his name as the winner, Miguel Rodriguez, laborer, dreamer, risk-taker, broke down and cried right there on stage. The audience gave him a standing ovation that lasted 3 minutes. That was 5 years ago. Today, Rodriguez Construction Solutions employs 47 people. Miguel's waste reduction system has been implemented on over 300 projects across Arizona, saving the construction industry millions of dollars. Every person Miguel hires gets the same chance he never had: to be heard, valued, and promoted based on their ideas, not their education. Last month, Miguel was invited to speak at Arizona State University's business school. As he stood at the podium, looking out at students in their designer clothes and expensive laptops, he said something that silenced the room. Success isn't about where you start. It's about what you do when opportunity whispers your name. Most people wait for it to shout, but opportunity doesn't have time for that. It moves on to someone who's ready to act. 3 of Miguel's employees have now started their own businesses using the same principles. The man who was once invisible has become a mentor to dozens of others who feel trapped by their circumstances. Miguel's story isn't unique because he's special. It's powerful because he's ordinary. He's every person who's ever felt stuck, overlooked, or underestimated. How many times have you talked yourself out of an opportunity because you thought you weren't qualified enough, smart enough, or ready enough? Here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Opportunity doesn't wait for perfect timing. It doesn't wait for you to feel confident. It doesn't wait for you to have all the answers. Miguel didn't win because he had the best business plan. 3 people with MBA degrees submitted more sophisticated proposals. Miguel won because he understood something they didn't. Opportunity is like lightning. It strikes fast and moves on. You can spend your whole life preparing for the perfect storm, or you can learn to dance in the rain. Right now, as you're watching this, there's an opportunity in your life that you're making excuses about. You know what it is. It might be that job application you've been putting off, the business idea you've been thinking about for years, the conversation you need to have but keep avoiding, the skill you need to learn but claim you don't have time for, the risk you need to take but keep finding reasons to delay. I want you to do something right now. In the comments below, write down 1 opportunity you've been making excuses about. Don't explain why you haven't acted. Just name it. 1 sentence. Let's create accountability for each other. Reply to someone else's comment with encouragement. Sometimes, knowing that strangers believe in us is enough to push us forward. If Miguel's story moved you, subscribe to this channel.
Every week, I share stories of ordinary people who did extraordinary things by simply refusing to let opportunity pass them by. And share this video with someone who needs to hear Miguel's message. You might be the catalyst that changes someone's life forever. Here's your 48-hour challenge. Take one concrete action toward that opportunity you just wrote in the comments. Not a big action, just one step. Miguel started with a crumpled piece of paper. What's your crumpled paper? Miguel Rodriguez was supposed to throw away that piece of paper. He was supposed to accept his limitations. He was supposed to stay invisible. But he didn't. And because he chose courage over comfort, action over excuses, hope over fear, his entire family's future changed. Dozens of employees now have better lives. An entire industry improved. Your crumpled paper is out there, waiting. The question isn't whether you'll find it, it's what you'll do when you do. Don't let your opportunity end up in the trash. Because opportunities don't wait, but the people who seize them change the world.